First thing I want to do, thank you, Bostin, so much for joining me. I'm really excited about it. As you know, I asked to talk to you quite a while ago, and we've been messaging on email for, I think, possibly a year and a half or something.
Yeah, a long time, yeah.
So, but I don't have a large following on YouTube, but from the people I do have, most of them are not bodybuilders. So I wanted to tell the audience that aren't bodybuilders a little bit more about Bostin. So Bostin, some background. Basically, Bostin is one of the people who has most influenced the PED use in bodybuilding, performance-enhancing drugs overall. Just some background for people that don't know, PED use in bodybuilding used to be very shrouded in mystery, mainly until the internet grew about in like 2000, 2001, when bodybuilding forums started to exist on the internet. Some of the most famous ones are Anabolic Minds and Anabolic Muscles, stuff like that. This is a little bit before Bostin's time. But even then, it was mostly people talking about stuff not from firsthand experience, and people didn't really know what they're doing. It was really pretty ridiculous. I was one of those people that was on those forums a very long time ago when I was 15 or 16 years old. When YouTube came out, probably I would say two major figures changed the way performance-enhancing drugs are understood by non-competitive athletes, and even by competitive athletes that don't happen to live in Southern California or one of those hot spots like New York. And those people were Bostin Loyd, and after him, Rich Piana. I think, in my opinion, and Bostin, you could correct me later if I'm wrong, but Bostin was the first one to really blow this up and tell the truth about what he knew.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know the history, man. I was the first one to do it, and then shortly after, about maybe a few months later, Rich Piana and Rick Drayson hooked up, and they started doing some stuff. But I was the first one, and it's funny, man. Like the same guys that were like, "You're gonna get arrested. You can't talk openly about this stuff." And obviously I was a little scared at first because everyone was blowing me up, but I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it anyways. Those same guys a year later were like, oh, nothing happened to Bostin. He's still doing his thing. And they saw how much attention it was bringing to them. And then everyone and their mom started talking about it, and then it blew up. And now, dude, everyone it's just free reign. Yeah.
Well, now everybody does it. But when Bostin started, like he said, actually, Rich Piana started with Rick Drayson. It was before Rich even started really blowing up. He was doing these little segments with Rick Drayson, who's a wonderful guy, I think. I don't know Rick, but he seems like a wonderful guy. Anyway, point is, Rich came out. The difference between Rich and Bostin, not many people realize, is that even though Bostin had a small channel, he never really posted videos. There were very few videos, and those videos just completely changed the discussion and the community in bodybuilding. So I wanted people to understand that huge role that you had. And even till now, and this is one of the things I want to ask Bostin about, he still doesn't have a channel. He doesn't post his own videos. If he did, he would have the biggest following among these kind of people. And right now, there's another guy that came out recently who's called Greg Doucette, who's really just only talking about...
He's blowing up.
He's blown up as well. We could talk about Greg, actually, because today Lee Priest was on RX Muscle talking about Greg, and there's some stuff. It relates to a question we'll talk about later. But so that's introduction to Bostin. Now, Bostin, I know that you used to live close by to where I live right now. You used to live in Northridge, Southern California, right?
Yeah, where are you at?
I live in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, wow, dude.
Yeah. So I didn't always live in Sherman Oaks. I spent like 3 years in downtown LA, which was the biggest mistake of it.
Yeah, I went to Chatsworth High School, dude. I'm from the Valley, dude, born and raised.
I realized that.
My dad's in Simi Valley still.
Oh, he is?
Oh, yeah, dude. My mom just moved to Florida, like literally a block away from me. But before that, she lived in Porter Ranch. You know where that is. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask you about first. I was going to ask you, what made you decide to move to Florida? Because as you know, everybody in Southern California wants to move out of here, and I'm trying to pick a state for myself.
It's funny. So that's actually a good question. I actually moved to Northern California before I moved out. But Northern California was my all-time favorite place to live. But, dude, the cost of living now is absolutely ridiculous. Like, my mom has a condo out in Concord, Walnut Creek area. So I was about 45 minutes from San Francisco, but long story short, I got in a long distance relationship with my now fiance and wife to my kid, or mom to my kid, and yeah, yeah. So I don't even. It was a very dumb decision, dude. We're having very bad relationship issues, and I was young and dumb. I was like 21, 22. I decided to move across the country to Rhode Island. Oh. And we literally drove 48 hours from one end of the country to another. And I lasted, I want to say 10 months in Rhode Island with her. And our relationship was terrible, dude. It was awful. I wasn't used to the snow shoveling. I said, fuck this. I literally rented a 26-foot U-Haul and drove all the way down to Florida, Orlando, and I called up and I booked an apartment. And that was the first time I ever had been to Florida, dude, is driving that U-Haul across the border. First time ever was me.
So you didn't like research the different states or anything?
No, but I looked into Orlando because they had good gyms. They now all the golds are gone, but they had a really like top golds, and that was more important to me at the time, was having like a really good gym and a really good fitness community. And they made this apartment complex look amazing, dude. Like online, it looked great. I get there, it was in the fucking hood, dude. It was terrible.
And the hoods in Florida aren't that much better than the ones.
Then I looked into how buying houses, because I was making good money at that time, and I ended up buying a house out here in Spring Hill. Dude, the houses are so cheap here. Like, this house is like 5 to 6 times more expensive where you're living right now.
That's why I've been thinking, you know, most of the people in LA, they move to like either Las Vegas or to Oregon or to Florida or Arizona.
Florida is cool because we don't have any state income tax.
Yeah, I know.
Like when I moved out of California, they fucking took money out of my bank account for state income tax. Here I don't got to worry about that. Like there's no state income. You just pay your federal.
California's regulations are really troubling.
I'm glad I'm out of there, dude, but I do miss Northern California, like the weather, the people.
I think Northern California is superior. I haven't spent much time there.
For sure, dude. Dude, I would hate to live in like the LA area right now. I would hate it.
I used to live in downtown, like real downtown, like in a nice building, but right next to Skid Row. And
the traffic,
traffic and like just crazy. Like, have you ever seen that show, The Walking Dead?
Yes, of course.
It was like The Walking Dead. People just.
I actually took a wrong turn when I went to the LA Fit Expo one year, and I was with my buddies, and we took a wrong turn, dude. And it was like people were on tents. People were living in tents on the sidewalk. I don't know if it was where the welfare office was, but people were just not even like, it was like a green light and there was like 10 people just walking across the street. Everyone was like looking at it because I had like a nice rental car, like not like fucking like crazy nice, but it was not like a junked up car. And dude, it was scary because you could see all these homeless people just like, what the fuck?
It's crazy. I used to walk around there sometimes. It was incredible. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to ask about. Another thing I wanted to ask about is, you know, one of the things I really like about you, I don't know you personally that well, but I see from your Instagram and stuff, you're a real family man, you know, and you ran that. Yeah, it's very impressive. I don't have children, but I'm married as well, and I'm like that. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, having a son, how has it changed your business and your career part? Because that's the scariest thing for me about having children is the distraction.
Yeah, so it's funny. You would think having a kid would like motivate you to like make more money, but for me, it's done the opposite. I wanted to spend more time with him, and like I don't post shit about myself, dude.
That's the concern.
I don't feel the need to. But like I said, dude, thank God when I was younger, I made good money. I was able to buy my house cash. All my cars are paid off, so I could live on bare minimal. I mean, me and her, we can get away on nothing because there's no bills. We don't have any debt or anything.
Oh, amazing.
So I have a small community of clients that know that I'm good at what I do, and I literally work off referrals, and I could live off that, dude, easily. I don't make crazy money anymore. When I was younger, I was making like for a 21-year-old at least, I was making really good money.
Mm.
And now, dude, it's not even comparable. Like it's not. But I'm so much happier now because I got them, and yeah, I don't promote anymore. And dude, it's cringy when I see people overly promote because I feel like if you're good at what you do, man, you don't need to do that because the referrals speak for themselves.
Promotions are hard to do. It takes a kind of like selling of your soul to do that really hard.
Yeah, dude, I don't like it, man. I don't like that shit. Hey, but dude, when you do promote and you do make a post, it grabs attention. If you do that shit every day, it's like, oh, this motherfucker's posting again. You know what I mean?
That's true. But look, I was going to talk about this later, but there's so much, and I know you know this, it's just you don't want to do it, but there's so much underutilized. Like if you had a YouTube channel where people could interact.
Well, I got my YouTube channel deleted.
You got it deleted, but you weren't posting that much anyway.
Never.
You would post once every 6 months.
I would do, but dude, every time I did do a video, it got like a lot of views because I feel like I didn't oversaturate. There's guys right now on YouTube that do videos every day, and it's the same shit. You run out of shit to talk about. So what I would do is I'd hire a professional photographer to do like a video once a year and then launch that like a day in life. And to me, that had more traction.
But you know what people want to see, really? Apparently, this is what I'm learning from Greg Doucette, is they just want to see people's responses to other people's stuff or like opinions. And they want you to scream, apparently. This is what, have you seen any of Greg's?
Dude, that's a lot of drama on his channel. Like,
I know.
Don't get me wrong, dude. When I was younger, like I would kind of bite into that shit, but I don't even like troll anymore that much because, dude, I'm like, I don't know. I just turned 28, dude. I feel like I'm getting old. You know, when I made that first video, I was 21.
Yeah.
But, dude, the marketing is always there. Like, let's say if I ever wanted to get more clients or ever wanted to expand, I even though, like, I don't know if you know too, but everything I do monitors, dude, because I'm a free book. I'll talk shit to anyone.
Yeah.
I got my first Instagram taken down. That was a big hit on my business. Getting my YouTube account, that was a huge hit on my business. Now I'm on my last warning on my current IG account. So, dude, it's like freedom of speech has just like gone out the window these days. When I used to promote in 2015, 2014, that was probably one of my better years, with like 15, 16. Like, you could promote on YouTube or even Instagram and Facebook, and you didn't need to like pay for ads and shit. Now they like limit your views unless you pay them.
Well, that you've just brought up another thing, freedom of speech. I mean, obviously everyone talks about this all the time, but I don't even realize this. We have a monopoly on social media. I mean, there's only a couple of companies. It's an oligopoly technically, but like they control everything. This didn't happen when they had this in oil with the Rockefeller Group, Standard Oil. They cut that down completely. With Microsoft, they cut that out. Why don't they want to do that with social networking? Why? Because it allows the government ease to monitor things. So they're like, okay, it's only one company, so we can go. They have an agreement with them. But if it's a bunch of companies, if they split it up, then they can't do that anymore. So we get stuck with these people policing what we can say, which is really, it's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they're afraid that people are going to make crazy amounts of money doing their own thing, or I don't know. But I remember in 2015, I'd make a post, like a promotional post, and I didn't have to pay Facebook or Instagram, and it would blow up. Now and I've never paid for an ad in my life, but now you got to pay for the ads or they limit your views.
Yeah. Another thing you mentioned just now is getting older. I was going to ask you, okay, now I assume I know your response, but has getting older at all affected the way you think about preserving your health?
I would say no, because I'm still doing dumb shit. Yeah.
Well, okay, what do you do? What do you mean dumb? Because I saw that you were 280 pounds in that interview with Lou, which, by the way, you look
push it. I'm crazy. Like, I'll push it hard as fuck for like 6 weeks and blow up. Like, go from like, dude, I went from like 221 on like a harsh DMP run to only eating like 1,500 calories to back up to like 277 lean.
No, you were huge.
In like 6 weeks or something. It was stupid. Like 221 to 277. And it's not like I put on fat. I just put on a lot of water and intercellular. Man, I still do stupid experiments. I still get sick at least once every couple of weeks doing something dumb. So I would say no, man. I would say my health, it's a sickness. It's like an OCD sickness. You know what I mean? Like almost like a drug addict type of thing. Like, and I've actually wanted to seek help a little bit with the OCD, but there's a couple reasons why I won't do that, because I feel like I think I could say this on here. It doesn't matter. I don't want to seek a therapist, right? And I'm an open book, dude. When I go to seek help, I tell them my whole story. Like, I'll tell them everything. Mm-hmm. And my OCD stems from steroid use and bodybuilding, so I would need to talk about that. And dude, I don't need a therapist. If I'm going to tell him about steroids, I don't need him being like, oh, he has a child in the house. Let me call CPS on him. You know what I mean?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, I want to learn more about you. I don't want to tell you stuff about it, but I just want you to know that there are certain things you can do to reduce that, what we call OCD, which is neuroticism, like being a perfectionist, trying to not letting go of an idea. There are certain things, just like steroids, that you can take that will reduce that in your brains.
Yeah, but are you talking about like actual medication or herbal stuff?
Both.
And see, I the thing with meds, man, is like I kind of want to stay away from anything that's like. I looked into the OCD medication, and like some of them have side effects.
No, those are very serious ones.
And I don't want to be a vegetable. You know what I mean?
No, those are antipsychotics. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about things, for example, like just like we have estrogen and testosterone that matter for bodybuilding. For cognitive performance, there's things called dopamine, serotonin. you can manipulate those with small changes. But anyway, we won't get too much into that right now. But I just want you to know that there's like I naturally am very neurotic as well.
Yeah, I think they were like anti those. There were actually legit meds for the OCD. And dude,
Yeah, those are very strong.
At one point, I was thinking about doing it, but I was like, I don't want to turn into like a fucking vegetable where I don't care about anything.
No, that one you can do. I know a lot about it. We could talk sometime about that. I could give you some ideas. But okay, what I wanted to ask you is
But it's only bodybuilding. Like, let's say if I'm like, I'm an all or nothing type of guy. If I like him saying I'm going to take 2 weeks off the gym, off of drugs, off of the diet, there is no fucking OCD. I don't even go in my steroid room. I don't look around to shoot shit. Everything's fine. When I go back into hardcore bodybuilding where I want to make like progress and stuff, that's when my OCD comes. So it's not like a thing that it's like all other aspects of my life. It's just like when I'm hardcore into something, you know what I mean?
No, I can tell. You seem to have a very good disposition in general. It's just
I do, man. I'm super calm and everything else in my life is great. But when I put my mind to that bodybuilding, it kind of takes over. And it doesn't, I could honestly say it doesn't affect my relationship with my kid or my wife. Because it's more all in my head, and I'm not bringing it on them,
I can tell. And that's a weird thing, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of those androgens, they downregulate serotonin receptors in the brain, and they downregulate GABA receptors. So GABA is that thing that like comes from alcohol or from phenibut and stuff like. It's a relaxing thing.
Yeah.
So usually, if you notice, some of the bodybuilders, like, I don't want to name names, but some people, they end an interview, they can't stop moving. They're just like always. I don't know if there's a junior guy who was always doing that. There's, people like that. And what it is the GABA is down and the serotonin is down, so they don't feel a sense of well-being sometimes. But you seem to be very sensitive. You have a great sense of well-being, so I don't know what's going on.
Crazy. In school, when I was younger, I was hyper, but now I'm just like a lazy bum. And steroids have calmed me down, so I don't know if it's a different effect. Like when I come off a cycle completely, I'm more like, it's different. Like when I'm on a crazy cycle or if when I'm on, I'm calm and everything's. But the minute I come off completely, which I have, that's when I start getting a little antsy. It's weird, man. Like it's almost like, how like when people take like drugs to counteract other drugs, it's almost like that.
Well, definitely if you go off, there'll be a change in brain chemistry. But let me ask you a couple of other things briefly about yourself. One thing I notice is that you're a recluse, legitimately a recluse. You stay at home. You don't go out much.
Bad, dude, bad.
I notice. I'm the same way. My father's like that. My grandfather's like that. It's a very weird thing.
Like even traveling to see family once a year like freaks me out. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, it's all right when you have a good wife and you're happy with your wife at home. But if you're not married, this is not a good recipe for success. But
actually, for me, it was, dude. When I was single, I would literally sit on my couch all day long, dude. I would eat. I'm weird, man. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need any communication. And I got so much done in my business, like shot through the roof because I didn't have a kid and I didn't have a wife. So everything went into my work. And I didn't need interaction. Like obviously I'm interacting with clients through internet, but I didn't need to be on the phone. I didn't need to see anyone. I would go into the gym at like 1 a.m. 2 a.m. I didn't see anyone. And that's when I train now is 1 to 2 a.m. in the morning. I
used to like to do that too. And now you bring up another point, which is you're very nocturnal. And
my schedule's fucked, dude.
Okay, so let's talk about that briefly because you mentioned this with Blue as well. You were saying that you're sleeping, you're not getting a whole 8 hours, and you're thinking that 8 hours are critical.
No. I am getting a full 8 hours.
Oh.
But the thing is, it's fucked up hours. Like it's like 6 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m., dude.
But you are sleeping consistently.
Oh, dude, I sleep like a fucking bear, dude. I literally just sleep all day if I yeah, dude, it's bad. Like, especially when I did that weight jump, dude, when I was on D-ball, Anadrol, a ton of insulin, a ton of growth. Dude, I could probably sleep like 12 hours, 14 hours a day and be fine.
Well, that's interesting because I noticed that happens on high doses too, but I think that's lethargy.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yes.
Which we could talk about.
It's that.
Yeah, lethargy.
It's not just the drugs, it's the weight gain.
The weight gain, which brings you down, but also the drugs, I think now.
100%. But I can tell you what, though, when I'm very lean, dude, and like when I'm getting ready for a show, I was still taking like 200 mgs of Anadrol, and I was energized to like get the workouts because I'm like, I have a show coming up. Now, if I took 200 mgs of Anadrol and I was like eating more carbs and shit in the off season, and my weight was high, I would be out all day long.
That used to happen from the anadrol as well. I think because of the liver, usually the liver thing causes that. But you know what? Just so you know, though, I'm sure you know this. But if you sleep during those times, while the lights out, do you black out your room?
This like it's dark, so you wouldn't even know it's light out.
Yeah, but you still have to, like, once you wake up, if you wake up at 3, you should go out in the sunlight so that your brain can get this. There's something that goes on in your brain when you go in the sunlight that turns on certain body processes. This could affect your insulin resistance.
Did you tell Lenny that? Because Lenny's been talking about that shit on Dave's podcast.
No. But Lenny's been doing that on his own. Lenny's an interesting guy. He has all kinds of.
I like that guy, dude. I like that guy. I never met him. He's thrown my name out a few times in interviews and stuff. But I just like his theories and thoughts. You know what I mean? If you
meet him, he's even like he's an angel. Like in real life, you're like, holy shit, this guy is like a gentle giant. Like he's
no, for sure. You get that vibe.
All right, so let's get into some interesting topics. So, well, we talked about this a bit. So one thing I wanted to ask you about: have you had a hernia yet?
No, but it's funny you asked that, dude. It's very funny you asked that. I think I have one, and I just don't even know.
Where is it?
Well, no. The reason why I'm saying is I don't know. Like I can't feel it, but my gut is so distended and shit. And like, I was reading up the side effects of like hernias and shit. And like, I think I may have one, but there is hernias that you don't even know, like that you wouldn't be. Yeah.
So I had, even though I was never nearly as big as you, I was only like 240 when I was at my max with ugly muscle. I was an arm wrestler, but I never developed a hernia, but I had a gut similar to yours at your max that I've seen in pictures.
Yeah. Bad.
And, it feels horrible to have that, doesn't it? Now, most of that...
I don't mind it. It just obviously...
You can't sit properly. Like you sit and you bend down.
I'm not that bad where it's like hanging... Like I'll be honest, like it's like a beer gut.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's like. Yeah, in the front.
Oh, don't get me wrong. When I'm super bloated and I'm eating a shitload of food, yeah. But, dude, like if I keep my weight at like 250, 260 where I need to be, it never affects me that bad, but dude, I think it's more the issue of me trying to force foods that my body just doesn't digest. Like it's constant experimenting. Like I should never have gluten or dairy in my diet. I shouldn't. And I'll still try to sneak it in and then my gut will just blow up.
But that's one thing, but there's another thing that aren't you always on G8?
No, I took 11-week break off of everything, like steroids, growth hormone, everything. And like the gut was, I mean, it was down and bloat, but that's because I wasn't eating as much, I think.
So basically, this is what I've...
Don't you think it's a combination of all the drugs, though?
For sure. Look, it's obviously a combination of literally organs being inflamed. That's a little bit. Mainly the digestive issues. But then other than that, the big thing that causes a long-term distension, I am almost completely sure, is visceral fat, which means fat on the organs and in between the organs also, particularly fat on the liver. And in addition to that, fat on the pancreas. And I've done so much research into this, I'm almost completely certain of this. Now, what happens is this. When you take growth hormone, immediately there's an acute insulin resistance. When insulin resistance is there, as we know from studies on diabetics, they immediately develop fat in the visceral fat in the abdomen. Now, that visceral fat is pushing out all the organs. So even if you go completely off your food, there's no food in your belly, you're still going to have that distension. So
yeah, not with me. Like if I don't eat, like if I fast, like when I go on a keto diet, like that shit just flattens out.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, dude, it flattens out. I have nothing. Like literally when I got down to 221 or something on like a low carb diet,
yeah,
I was only running like 4 IUs of growth, but dude, I had nothing. Like it was a washboard. Like
great, okay. So,
but when I go to 12 IUs of growth and I do like 15 and I do insulin throughout the day, like a fucking huge shot of Lantus in the morning, or Novolin R 3 times a day, or Novolin R pre-workout and then Humalog post, my gut immediately blows up.
Yeah, I know. I've taken like 20 units. I've taken 15, and that of real pharmaceutical, and that's when it's.
And I'm talking about immediate, like where my waist grows like 5 inches in like hours. I'm talking immediate.
It's bizarre, and I think that pros that are using that level are taking diuretics while they take it to prevent that. Because
dude, a lot of them are on, now that I'm fucking talking to a lot of these guys, a lot of them are on Ramipril, which is a ACE inhibitor, which is what's it called? For
hypertension.
For blood pressure.
Yeah.
But it's also combined with hydrochloric thiazide, and they take that twice a day.
That's actually what I've recommended.
I took Ramipril because Dave, dude, if like, I don't think it's real, but if my blood pressure numbers were actually real, I should be dead by now. But I don't believe it once.
I heard you talk about on blues. You said
I took the Ramipril, and I had to get off, dude. I was like, I would rather die tomorrow than be on this shit.
Okay, this is my question. Does the Ramipril have hydrochlorothiazide in it?
No, not the one I was using. No.
Oh.
I just got pure Ramipril, dude. I don't want to take that diuretic shit, dude. I cramp on diuretics. I don't want to take that.
But why didn't you try?
I'll tell you what. So I lasted like a week on the Ramipril, and I just felt like shit. But my body got dry, dude. Like, it was like weird. It was almost like I lost like 5% body fat that week. And it did not have the thiazide in it, because I did buy the Ramipril with the thiazide. I ended up giving that to somebody else that uses it because I didn't want to touch it after that. Now, I talked to Chad Nichols. You know who Chad Nichols is?
Yeah, of course.
He said, get off the ACE inhibitors, try Antanol. Antanol is a beta blocker.
A beta blocker.
And a lot of athletes use it. And that was even worse than the Ramipril. Talk about lethargy, dude. I was a fucking potato. I would just sit on the couch like this. Like I couldn't even move, dude. Like, it was the worst. And first of all, I don't like getting on the treadmill and not being able to get my heart rate over like 110.
So let me tell you, I have experience with both the beta blockers and the angiotensin receptor blockers. I actually take a beta blocker, but for other reasons, not for.
Are you taking like lisinopril?
I take atenolol at a very low dose, only in the morning.
That's the beta blocker.
It's a beta blocker, but I take it in the morning.
That's the one that I was taking. I was taking the lowest dose right when you wake up. Yeah.
It does reduce your look. If anyone's going to have psychological effects from that stuff, it's going to be from the beta blocker. It makes you lethargic and all that. However, you didn't try an angiotensin receptor blocker, which is this ACE inhibitor stuff is the old stuff. The new thing that's really much lower side effects, angiotensin receptor blocker. My favorite is called valsartan, 80 milligrams or 40 milligrams. All it does is dilate the blood vessel. There's no other effect.
I have a client on that stuff that his doctor, and if a doctor prescribes my client shit, I just say, take what your doctor tells you. But I love it. He's on, dude. His doctor has him on. And dude, his blood pressure's not even that bad. Like, even before, he has him on like a low dose of a beta blocker, but not Antanol. Another one, Meta something. He has him on a low dose beta blocker, low dose ACE inhibitor, and the Valhalla or whatever you're talking, or the all three of them, dude.
Interesting. Well, some people don't respond to one.
Yeah.
But look, how you said that your blood pressure is like 200 sometimes.
Yeah, so every time I go to get it done, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get the paramedics," and I'm like, "Fuck that, I'm out."
Okay, but
and then I got it done at Walmart, and they were like, seek. It was like the worst. It was like seek medical help immediately or some shit, right? But these cuffs are not meant for bodybuilders, and I was blown up at the time. Then I'll get like a good reading. And then I'll get like a bad reading, and then I'll get a good reading. And dude, I don't have any high blood pressure side effects, and high blood pressure doesn't really run in my family like that bad. Okay, and dude, and what do you consider? Okay, let me ask you this: what do you consider somebody like? Okay, he needs to be on medications. What numbers?
130. Yeah.
I'll never see that fucking number in my life, dude. Even on Ramipril and all that other shit, I was way fucking higher than that shit.
Let me tell you, the recent studies show that there's vascular damage in the arterial walls at 130. However, I used to run around for years, but not even on hormones, at 180, always, consistently. That's why I got so scared about it, and I researched and all that. The thing is, look, all you got to do, if you don't want blood pressure medication, don't do it. But just go.
Oh, I won't, dude. I won't.
Just do one thing. Go to the doctor and get an ultrasound of your kidney. Check if you have glomerulosclerosis, which is the main concern. I mean, there's also arteriosclerosis. Yeah,
dude, I'll be 100% honest with you.
You're not gonna.
I ain't going to no fucking doctor.
That's like Lenny's the same way. He won't do anything.
Yeah, I don't want to know any of that shit.
I understand.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude, my body at 28 can't handle 1/3 of the toxic drugs that it did when I was 21. 21, I could put anything in my body and I would still be able to go to the gym. I'd still be able to eat my food. Now, forget about it, dude.
I know. It's so you used to feel. Now it's like you were Superman when you were younger.
Yeah, it's just like the drugs now. It's like I take something too much and I'm like fucking out. You know what I mean? The next day, my body's like, fuck you.
I know.
And, and dude, it also doesn't help that in Florida there's a lot of allergies and I have bad allergies. So I get the toxic effect from the drugs on top of the nausea from the allergies. Oh, dude.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to ask you some questions about bodybuilding. So the first one I wanted to ask you about, it's pretty interesting because I just saw I already thought to ask you about it, but I just saw an interview with Chad Nichols and Nick Trigili, they were talking about the same thing. So what I was going to ask you about is the other day I was on Instagram and I was just scrolling through. I don't use Instagram that much, but I was scrolling through some stuff and I saw something I never saw before. I saw a muscular lady who was bald, but I didn't mean bald like she shaved her head. I mean like she was legitimately bald with short hair just on the sides, no hair on the top. Her hair wasn't that short. It was like George Costanza from Seinfeld. Yeah. So I was like, what the hell? So I clicked it and I just started looking through her pictures and she's pretty muscular, but she's bald and she has 2 kids. So I was like, damn, this is so curious. So I spent the next like 10, 15 minutes going through her. I wish I knew her name so I could show the picture, but went through it for a while. Then I noticed she got married like 3 years ago, had 2 kids. And I go into her husband's profile and he says he's a bodybuilder, but he's not muscular. And he has like 500 followers. So then I went back to her page and she's an IFBB Pro. And looking through the chronology, I realized she got married. She was normal, good-looking chick, had 2 kids, and then started getting muscular and then lost all her hair. And I started thinking, man, why would you do that to your wife? Like, if you know much about androgens and you can see her losing her hair, why would you keep pushing it to the point where the hair?
Yeah, so those chicks, me, Ariel, and know a few of them, most of those chicks on the IFBB stage, even the physique chicks, wear wigs.
They don't have any hair anymore?
No, like no. They have the male patterned baldness, what you're talking about.
Wow.
And what they do is they wear the wigs on top. You never be able to know.
So they literally have male pattern baldness.
Oh, most of them, 100%, dude. Especially the ones in their 20s, usually not bad. When they're in their 30s, 40s, 100%. If they're over 40 and they've been using anabolics, 1,000%, yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's a big thing, man, like chicks going wig shopping for the shows and all that stuff, yeah.
But my curiosity is not, I'm not trying to shame the lady. I mean, honestly, I feel bad for her. Yeah. Or maybe I don't need to feel, maybe she's okay with it, which would be great.
Oh, dude, these chicks don't care. They like big clits. They don't care.
Interesting. There's like
they have like me and Ariel have talked about it. The side effects that would bother me so much where I would have to come off is losing my hair at this age. If I lose it when I'm older, I don't care. Yeah. Losing my hair, like I got a thick head of hair, dude. Like I don't, and I take so many shit, and maybe that's why I don't respond to drugs anymore. Maybe I don't respond to anything, but is hair loss and like breakouts, like major zits and shit. But you talk to those girls, they're proud of the side effects.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. But my question still is this. Do you think that these guys that date them want to live vicariously through them because they can't, because it's harder to compete, as I assume, as a man. Like if you're a woman and you take a lot of drugs, you can probably get a good body compared to women who don't want to. But as a man, it's harder to compete. So you think they live vicariously through them?
The guys aren't muscular 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that, dude. There's a lot of guys that I know that are like into the big muscle fetish stuff.
Yeah, so there's another thing I wanted to ask you about, which is I made a video on this like 2 days ago. And I think I'm the first person that talked about this in bodybuilding when I was on Amin's show, which is I never saw anyone comment on the fact that lately abs among pros split in the middle. So there's like a space down the middle.
Dallas McCarver had that big time.
Huge, exactly. That's what I put in the video, actually. Dallas had like the same space, the same length of the ab was in the middle. And I actually have that myself too, even though I was only, taking this stuff for like 2 years. And I was curious, did you notice this across a lot of pros? And not only that, by the way, some of them get their abs start disappearing because not just the middle separates, but even the others separate a bit and then they fade out, like William Bonac.
I think what happens is everything stretches.
Yeah. So my theory for this is this. There's a hormone called relaxin, which is a relative of insulin and IGF-1. In women, relaxin gets released when they're pregnant to allow their abs to expand so they can have the babies come out. This thing that the abs expand is called diastasis recti. So when this happens to women, you know, as bodybuilders, sometimes we lactate. I mean, I'm not a bodybuilder, but people lactate, things like that happen. I think what's happening is this relaxin hormone is being released, and relaxin actually reconfigures the collagen to allow it to stretch. So over time, stuff stretches so much that you can't see the abs anymore. But nobody ever comments. And then I think this is the other reason why a lot of hernias come out, because that, I don't know if you feel it on yourself, but that area in the middle is very weak. Like I was saying on the video, if someone stabbed me in that area, it would just go through like butter. It's not like the ab.
Oh yeah.
So the hernia.
I definitely have a hernia, but it's just not showing. You know what I mean? Like there's something going on.
You can feel a bump.
Well, dude, my body has just been weird the last few years. Like ever since my show, I think something with that 20 IU growth experiment or something. Ever since then, dude, like I can't get, the pumps are not the same. The strength is not the same. But if I train abs, fucking massive pumps, dude, like fucking, like the best pumps of my life, dude. Like if I just do a couple sit-ups and shit, my fucking stomach just gets vascular and just gets big as fuck. It's crazy, dude.
Interesting. It could be insulin resistance, by the way, that happened.
It could be, man.
And that can be cured.
My stomach will hold a pump for an hour after a workout, and everything else, nothing. I'm serious, dude. I'll do like a 5-minute ab workout. I'll cramp up and I'll leave the gym, and I'll literally have the sickest ab pump where my abs are popping through for an hour. And then everything else will fade quick, you know.
Can I scare you with a little comparison? Lenny has the same thing. He has crazy vascular.
Yeah, but I still could like suck my like right now I haven't eaten. I only ate once today. Like I could still suck my gut up, and it looks like a normal like lean.
No, I know, but he gets veins there too, which is alarming. Yeah. So okay, here's you mentioned Chad a bit ago. I wanted to ask you, Sean Ray is.
By the way. Chad also said he recommends, he would say never, I don't know, you probably won't agree with this, but he said you should not be taking blood pressure medicine if your bottom number is anything lower than 90.
Yeah, it's very dangerous if your bottom number goes too low. See, this thing, the kidneys get damaged from high blood pressure as well as low blood pressure.
Exactly.
And especially if the bottom number is very low. That's totally right.
He's saying my bottom number is never that high.
That's a good sign. By the way, that means your heart is functioning better.
It's my top number, but my top number is like 150 to 170 always. But he was saying unless that bottom number is over 90, it's not worth it. And that's probably why I felt like shit, dude. Is because my bottom number is always like 75, 85. That
by the way, we could talk about that more some other time, but that's totally true. He's very right. And thank God your bottom number is not too high. It's a very good sign.
Never.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask about is, so Chad, this is a little bit old news because I haven't been keeping up with the bodybuilding stuff lately, but I know Sean Ray was constantly attacking, Chad after what happened with Dallas and stuff like that. What do you think? You're like an expert on coaches. I noticed this from your interview with Luke. Everybody.
Dude, everyone's so shocked. I've paid over $15,000 in information, either hiring the coach or hiring something that's worked with the coach where it'll come from the email. I'll make sure that they send me from the email of programs. I've spent at least over $50,000 at least over that.
You're like the researcher.
I will send these programs for free to people sometimes if they're friends of mine. Obviously, if they're fucking Joe Blow, I'm not going to be like, yeah, here's all. But if they're friends of mine, I don't mind sharing information, right? I'll even send you them if you want. I don't give a shit. But anyways, I've seen a lot of Chad stuff recently, and dude, his programs are bizarre. Like it's not the drugs that are bizarre. It's the 12 to 14 ounces of protein every meal, like 7 times a day. That's the crazy part to me, man.
Oh, he uses a lot of protein.
Dude, I've never seen. Usually in programs, you see anywhere from like 6 to 8 ounces.
8, yeah.
He's consistently my friend hired him at 226 pounds. He had him on 12 to 16 right off the bat.
Interesting.
We calculated his protein. We put in his diet. We put in his diet on the MyFitnessPal. At 226 pounds, he's eating like 750 grams of protein.
That's unbelievable. I thought Milos was the only guy with the over 500 grams of protein.
I don't even think Milos is that high, dude. I've seen his programs. His programs are not even 12 to 14 ounces, no.
Really? He used to though. He used to do 500. He
He's
made
actually
nothing.
very Milos now. I've seen recent stuff. It's like 7 to 8 ounces, but lots of carbs around the workouts and during the workouts.
By the way, this is actually really interesting. I didn't know this about Chad stuff. But generally,
The
remember.
only coach I've ever seen that's that high, by the way. He's the only one.
By the way, did he ever used to be a weightlifter, or just his wife Kim?
No, I don't know, man. I don't think so. Like he said, he was been 300 big before, but I don't think like bodybuilder big. I think just like a big, strong guy.
Interesting. Yeah, because he has damaged shoulders.
Yeah, we like Tex and stuff. He's a nice guy. You know, he takes on clients now. He's very expensive, and he's big on cheat food. Like I was thinking about in my head hiring him, but then and we talked. He was like, "Hey, man, if you ever want to work with me, I'd love to work with you." He told me that, but I couldn't do it because of the massive amount of like the cheat food. Like he has his guys doing cheat meals every other meal on the weekends and stuff like that. Like I don't like cheat food like that.
The interesting thing is like it's a lot of people that he trained at the higher level that got permanent head growth and gut growth, like permanent. I don't want to mention names, but
yeah,
I wish I could. Anyway, I'll tell you later. But yeah, there's a lot of surprising things, including like
it's pretty obvious who you're talking about because we know. I mean, if somebody knows bodybuilding, we know who he's worked with.
Yeah. Well, no, but usually they talk about other guys. But there's one guy on the East Coast as well. He goes on Generation Iron sometimes. That guy, he still works out. He still has like broad shoulders, but his head. I took a picture of him, an older picture and a new picture, and his head is double the size. Like it's
really,
yeah, it's unbelievable. And nobody.
Yeah, like I can honestly tell you, man, I've seen his protocols with guys that like pros and stuff, and I can't tell you what he was having those guys do in the 90s. Maybe it was way more because I have not seen those programs, obviously. But the modern guys, even the pros, the most I've seen him prescribe is like 10 to 12 IUs of growth.
Oh.
Insulin only like 3 times a week at like 15 to 30 IUs 3 times a week. He does not believe in insulin every day. Only a couple.
Oh, that's nothing. I thought it was like 30.
Oh no. These are pros that I'm talking about. I have a couple guy programs from him that are top amateurs, and then I have a couple programs that are of actual pros, and the pros were like even a few years ago, but. I can't attest for what he had those guys do in the 90s.
Now, what about Milos? So the other guy that's pretty interesting is Milos. Milos, has this really bizarre program. I don't know if he still really does it all the time, but I think he was doing it with Hidetada. And Hidetada, I noticed, it's basically trying to super fill the guy with stuff on insulin. Forget about the training. The training is one other thing, but on the competition, he tries to fill them up as much as possible and then somehow dehydrate them subcutaneously. But what I noticed is Hidetada's arms kept shrinking through the years that he was training with Milos. Okay. What do you think of the results that Milos has had over the last 10 years with people? Hidetada's waist?
I think a lot of guys get worse with him.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
A lot of guys get worse. I've seen his programs. It's 20 AUs of insulin, pre-workout and post-workout. And then, so 40 IUs total. And we're talking about Humalog. And then what he does is he has his really experienced guys do 2 workouts a day where it's 20 in the morning, 20 post-workout, 20. So that's 80 units total a day. And on his plans, it says as much growth hormone as you can afford, which to me is stupid.
Really? He does say that?
As much GH as you can afford, that's on his program. And I've never seen that before on a coach. Usually he'll be like 5 IUs in the morning and 5 IUs at night. His literally says as much as you can afford. So, and when he says that, it's as much as you can afford with every meal.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
He takes it with the meal.
Yeah.
So then you must be taking insulin with the meals outside of the pre and post work. Is he taking?
No, that's the thing. He doesn't really have that many carbs in those other meals.
And interesting.
Yeah.
He's very unique for sure.
So he's literally jacking carbs and only around the training. So he's only going to have it with the pre-workout meal and the post-workout, and then and Humalog stays in your system for 3 hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. But yeah, like, and with the growth hormone, no, because he's having them eat it with like protein fat. He's not really having them do the carbs with those.
That's an interesting, unique program for sure.
Too many natural supplements in his programs, though. Like, it would drive my OCD nuts, like how much shit you have to put in your shakes and stuff.
Oh, he puts a lot of stuff.
You would probably love it, like all that alpha lipoic acid and this and that and fucking this and that. You spend more on the fucking natural supplements and the steroids because he keeps the anabolics low.
Dude, I spend so much on my supplements now. I spend more than when I used to use gear.
I know, dude. The shit's way expensive.
It's absurd. I mean, I have to budget myself with this stuff. It's like
you probably have OCD with the natural stuff.
Oh yeah, I have like 50. I mean, it's people ask me, "Can you make a video on your supplements?" I'm like, "Are you joking? You know how many I take? It's going to be a 4-hour video. I can't do that." And plus, they're constantly changing. I'm constantly thinking, I should take that one out and put this one back in.
So you're the same way with natural supplements as I am with gear, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you probably see like one of your things, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna add that back in today, right?"
Yes. Yeah. I'm like,
that's how I am with steroids.
Was I so sure that should be out? Maybe I should bring it back in.
That's how I am, dude. Yeah. Like I'll be like, I'll see a vial and I'll be like, I'll just add that back in today.
Yes, exactly. I'm literally doing that every day. All right. So, one more interesting thing. How do you think Rolly shrunk his waist?
Those dudes are big squeamers over there in the Kuwait, dude. They're like really big on that. And like,
you think that's really how he did it?
You might not think that shit works, but I've seen it work with people, not fucking waist trainers. Those squeams where you tie that shit like it.
Like a corset.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. They tie the shit like it literally it literally pushes everything in.
Because the flexible ones don't do that.
They don't do shit.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so I have some. Okay, so we talked a little bit about being mentally addicted to hormones, but let's talk about some other things. You mentioned on Dave's. I remember that you were on, and this I didn't rewatch it recently, but before you were saying you tried some recreational. You're not into recreational drugs, but
you're talking about Nubane.
Nubane, you tried Nubane. That's true. You brought it back from its dead past. I don't know where you found it.
Dude, if I had that in the house, it would be really bad.
You liked it?
Dude, I don't like any like drugs like that, but I would have a hard time saying no to that drug.
Why? It was just so relaxing?
Dude, like I would train legs with that shit and just feel so high, just be stuck in that squat rack, like in that hack squat, like repping out reps with no lactic acid or no pain. And then the next day you can't even get out of bed because you train your legs so hard and you didn't even realize it.
That's crazy. That must have been why they were using it.
But dude, it's like it's a mental high. Like you just feel good. You know what I mean? Like it's like you've heard of kratom, right? You've used kratom,
yeah,
or you've tried it?
I've tried kratom. Yeah,
it's like a kratom effect times 100.
But I hate kratom because of the way it tastes. It makes me want to throw up every time.
Yeah. I just put that shit in my mouth and just water it down, whatever.
But you're talking about like the concentrated version, not the actual plant shit. Because if you try to swallow the plant shit, there's no way you're not.
It's powder. It's in powder form. I put it in my mouth and dude. I take it right the straight raw.
That's hardcore. That's really hardcore.
Dude, my pre-workout concoctions got so bad at one point that I was almost puking on every trip to the gym. Meaning they would taste so bad. I would mix so much. Like my OCD got so bad where I almost need to keep natural supplements out of the house. There's this thing called thiapam sodium. I know you've heard of it. It's like a painkiller, nootropic, right? And I was putting this into my shakes in a liquid version. And dude, like it made the whole shake taste like shit. And then I would throw greens powder, like you know the greens powder, like fiber formula. And then on top of that, I would throw collagen protein, and I would do this pre-workout thing, and it would work amazing. But dude, I would literally be gagging on the way to the gym.
That's crazy. I thought you were gonna talk. Hey, actually, let me ask you about that. What's your pre-workout androgen thing that you do right now? Before you were taking a product you mentioned that had like 3 things mixed in. I don't like mixes, by the way, because
so there's two. There's pig's blood formula number 1,
yes.
and then there's the pig's blood formula number 2. The number 2, dude, honestly, like it has so much shit in it. Like I couldn't tell you right now, but I could send you a picture of what it has because I have it. Yeah. It's like methyl tren, methyl test, halotestin, and then it has the addition of DMMA. Actually,
that sounds really lovely.
No, it is. And that combined, Dude, that combined with that nootropic, that thiopam sodium with DMMA, I did that. I shouldn't even be saying this online, but I did the DMMA, liquid DMMA, liquid thiopam sodium, and mixed with that pig's blood. Dude, I train legs. I went at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. I trained legs till 5 a.m. Like I literally, my legs were so fried. Like Ariella was texting me, like, "Where are you gonna fucking come home?" My legs were so fried that I had to keep walking out because like the gym setup I have now is doesn't have any air conditioning. So I was like literally gonna puke after like every set. And so I was walking outside, and there's these bikers, like there's like this biker gang that like hangs out, and I just pop out of the bushes, right? They were like, they were like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like they wanted to jump me, dude. They were like, they thought I was like the cops. I was like, "Don't worry, I'm fucking working out." But yeah, dude, I was on fire, and I was like, "Oh well, you know, I'm gonna puke, so I'll just go home," and I'll be like, "You know what? No, I'm gonna go more." And I trained for like 2 hours, dude.
I mean, methyl tren is really wonderful.
And dude, I never even trained for that long ever. It's like 1 hour max, and I never advise high volume. But I felt so good that I was like, how am I going to stop?
I know what you mean. Because it's a mental thing. And it like strengthens your connection between your mind and your muscle.
Yes.
I always tell, like, I mean, I don't advise bodybuilders or anything, but people who lift, when they ask me, like, what should I always tell them, people don't realize the power of taking a pre-workout androgen, the effect it's going to have long-term on how much you lift. It'll affect how you gain muscle. Like I always my thing was I used to take like 200 milligrams of test suspension and like 50 to 100 milligrams of anadrol. And I was a king. You know, I was bicep curling 90 pounds dumbbells, and I was having the time of my life in the gym. It was the highlight of my day because of
you want to hear something crazy, dude? And I just did this the other day, and I haven't done it in years. And this is how fucked my body is, where I don't feel any drugs. This is how saturated my body is. And this is like good gear, like that's like has been tested. So it's not like I'm shooting fucking veggie oil. I did 300 mgs of TNE and 300 mgs of tren base.
Whoa!
In my lat, and I got a good workout. But before, if I did that, like years ago, from like the same lab, dude, I would be like almost like a europhic high. Like
300 milligrams
I don't get it anymore.
300 milligrams of TNE used to make me just almost like crazy. It was too much.
3 full cc's of that shit. I was like, fuck. And then my lats were so like knotted the next day, and like I was like, oh no.
That's crazy. So okay, I have some more things I want to ask about drug-related questions. Okay, one thing you say you don't.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. You just said 200 mgs of test suspension. Did you actually shoot 2 cc's of that water base into one muscle?
No, oil-based TNE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I love test suspension, but I can only do 1 cc per body part. If I do 2, I'll be crippled.
No, the water-based shit is horrible. I prefer the oil-based ones. I used to get nice oil.
You said test suspension, so I figured water.
Yeah, I meant TNE. Okay, so we asked about that. What I wanted to ask you about is, do you feel any of the things, like you said you're invulnerable to trenbolone. You don't get anxiety from it. I don't believe this.
Okay, so I recently did an experiment, which I'm cutting short because this is the first to say on your podcast, so maybe people will go fucking berserk, the people that are working on stupid shit. But I'm going to go through on this experiment, but we just found out by our governor that the gyms aren't even opening.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, dude, like I don't mind training at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and stuff, but I like to have like a perfect regimen and like equipment that it's just like, it's not optimal. Like I could get it in and stuff. It's just not optimal. Right. So if something's not optimal, I'm not going to pound a bunch of drugs in my system. I haven't taken tren in over 8 months or something like that, like close to a year.
Really?
So, yeah. So I just started an experiment, which I'm not going to, I'm coming off because the gyms are closed till like the end of the month. It's stupid. I started a 1.5 grams of tren. Well, even more because I did 300 of that tren base the other day. And I'm probably about a week, but yeah, dude.
Acetate, 1.5 grams of acetate.
I'm doing different. I'm doing a mixture of acetate, anente, and tren base.
And tren base. You said the tren base, yeah.
So in the test was like at 4 to 5 grams. It was like 750 every day.
Oh, with the test.
But hold on. I've never ran tests this high ever. And I don't even want to say this on camera because I haven't even lasted, I think it's been 5 to 6 days, but I'm cutting it short. But I am going to do this experiment. It'll be 750 to 1,000 mgs a test every day.
Oh, wow.
It'll be 200 Masteron every day. It'll be 200 Trenbolone every day with no anti-estrogen because I got my glands cut out. And I feel like no matter if you run 5 grams a test, I would need like 5 milligrams of letrozole a day to keep that down. So I'm not going to even worry about that.
Yeah, I don't like anti-estrogens. I could go on a rant about that.
I mean, think about it. If I got
estrogen is anabolic.
I agree with you. And pre-contest, obviously, you want to limit that.
Yeah.
And I've done experiments where I've done higher tests with no anti-estrogens, and I didn't even see any extra fat or water gain, at least on my body. I do have my clients run anti-estrogens and like cabergoline and pramipexole because they haven't got their glands removed.
My opinion, if somebody really wants to do hormones, they need to get their glands removed. You can't just do that.
Dude, it's the best thing I've ever invested in. And I went to the best in the world. I went to Dr. Blau to make sure that shit never came back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm not going to run anti-estrogens because I usually do run a little bit, but I'm thinking if I'm running 5,000 mgs a test a week, dude, I would need like 5 mgs of letrozole to keep that shit down. There's no way I'm going to do that.
No, and the thing is, the estrogen has protective effects on the arteries. So it's really important. But by the way, you know about the guy in California that in Orange County, the gynecomastia guy? He's really well known too.
Do you know his name?
Cruz, Dr. Cruz.
I haven't heard of him. The only 2 guys that I know that bodybuilders go to is all the pros go to Dr. Blau in New York. I paid $6,000 cash in 2013. Now he's like up to like $12,000 cash. But he was going to charge me. He's like, all right, we can do $6,000 cash with Dave Palumbo's referral. Or we could do $9,000 cash if you want to go fully under. I said, fuck that. Keep me awake. I'll save the $3,000.
Yeah.
And then also very good is Dr. Rick Silverman in Boston, Mass. I've sent a few people to him. He does payment plans for 0 interest up to a year. So a lot of people like him. Cruz
is very good. I've seen a lot of his results. He's unbelievable. He's in Orange County. Only does gynecomastia. Does a lot of celebrities. And
and like I said, man, it's good that you know a good guy. Because there's so many guys that'll go the cheap route and they'll pay $2,000-$3,000 and it comes back worse.
Of course, it comes back worse. You went through the surgery, or you've got a lopsided nipple or some crap like that, and this is not.
Dude, I made sure I went to the best in the country with that shit.
You have to take it seriously. And people are like, I don't want to pay $15,000. Well, you're gonna get way better results. It's like once you get your glands removed and you do androgens, you're like, oh, I'm in a free world.
If bodybuilding is something you're passionate about, I 100% agree with you. Get the fucking surgery.
That's completely true. Okay, another thing I wanted to ask you about is, have you ever noticed on an Anadrol and Superdrol, the effects only seem to last? Oh, wait, before we talk about that, you just mentioned how much tren you're using. So, by the way, I've used 300 milligrams a day for 300 I only used for a month or something like that. It drove me freaking crazy.
That's the dose I'll run if I do a show again, 300 a day. But I'll taper up. I'll do 50. I'll start at 50 every other day, which is nothing, and I'll taper slowly every week to
50 is like a healthy dose. That's totally normal. But by the way, for people who are watching this, I just want to be clear. Bostin is not crazy. What he says is not false. I know, living in Southern California, having gone to Gold's Gym, and being very close friends with, not in bodybuilding, but in powerlifting. I'm so close friends with some of the most famous people in powerlifting. I tell you, they take 10,000 milligrams of testosterone a week. That's 10 grams. They inject just like him till they run out of space. They use 3 cc's everywhere till they run out of space. I know people that have taken 20 anadrols a day, really 20.
Yeah, the powerlifters run a lot of the orals.
The orals, they do more, but
because obviously bodybuilders couldn't even eat on that, but it's easy to eat hot dogs and pizza on that shit.
These guys are dedicated. They force themselves, and of course they're eating junk food, but they force themselves. But what I'm trying to say is the really, really, really big people, the ones with the crazy deep voices, those huge guys like Bostin when he was 280 a few weeks ago, those guys take a lot of stuff. They don't take 50 milligrams of tren twice a week. That's not what it does. That's not how it works. But anyway, so I was going to ask you about Superdrol.
It's funny because everyone's like, how can you shoot that much test? If you get a good test source, test is painless. You could put 5 cc's of each test of CC's of test in your ass, and be fine. People don't understand it's the painful drugs that are like trend-based or test-based that you can't really fill up because it'll take up a whole spot for a week. You know, shit like test, people are like, how can you run 750 a day? It's like, listen, I put 3 cc's of test nenthate in my calf yesterday or 2 days ago, and I don't even feel it because if you have a good source, you could easily fit that shit.
I had no problem even like with the 500 milligram per cc test. I know some people say it clumps and stuff. I didn't have a problem with it.
No, test is test. Like when people say, how can you run high amounts of tests? It's like, it's not like it's painful shit you're shooting, you know?
Yeah. So what I was going to ask you about is, do you notice that when you use Anadrol or Superdrol, if you use it on a daily basis, the effects wear off in like 10 days?
I would agree that you should cycle your orals probably every 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know. I would
like
agree with you, but I start off low. I'll do like 5 mgs of Superdrol for a week, then 10 mgs for a week, then 15. Mm-hmm. But I agree, if you baseline it right away, I agree that the effects wear out in probably a week.
I wonder why that is. I think it's an IGF thing. I think it's having an effect, which is why I think like insulin and growth hormone, if they're used for this kind of purpose, they have to be cycled because IGF downregulates quickly the receptor.
Well, that's why I even mentioned about the taper up effect, and that always seems to help. And I always taper up, like with my clients on Tren and Mastron. I start them off at like literally 50 mgs every other day, and every like 10 to 14 days I'll raise them. And so they'll keep responding because I feel like you lose response quick on these drugs. Why
do you use the Masteron? I mean, I've used it too with Tren.
Are you talking about? I just switch up my compounds because I would for instance I like to use a DHT drug to keep me a little harder, and I was just on Primo for like 8 weeks, so I wanted to switch it. But Masteron is like my favorite for hardening.
Yeah, it's good for like competition stuff. I was wondering the off season.
Yeah, but off season, I don't like to be a fat ass. I like to stay hard and lean. I don't like to.
I noticed Masteron has a feel good feeling too. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes everything work better. I feel like, I don't know.
But do you think Primo, the effects of Primo down, like you can't use Primo for 6 months straight and have the same effect?
Like 6 to 8 weeks max, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I love Primo though. It's like God's gift.
I'm gonna do some experiments this year.
So I wanted to ask you about some compounds that are unusual.
But you wanted to ask me a question about Tren before. You said something about it makes me crazy, and it doesn't.
You don't get that effect?
It takes me down where I just want to be even more of a hermit.
Are you serious? You don't get like antsy or like?
I get very calm and like too calm where Ariel is like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
This is very curious. I'm going to think about why this could happen in your brain because it's very unusual.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't raised my voice in years, like to the point where like I'm like mad. Like it just doesn't happen.
Tren for me was like a serious risk in terms of like I might go to jail at any moment.
That's how people are, dude. I have clients that'll be like in their thing. Hey, I just want to let you know, like I can't use Tren, and I'll be like, why? They'll be like, it makes me fucking loon.
Yeah, I don't know. You could kill someone. Some people are like that. I could kill someone. It's horrible. Not anymore.
Some guy on Dave's interview the other day was like, yeah, I was listening to Bostin Loyd's podcast, and I started doing 3 cc's of Tren, and then I wanted to get high. Did you watch that interview with that guy?
Wait, the guy who was the drug addict who was in Florida? Yes. I didn't see the whole thing.
He was like, yeah, like I listened to Bostin Loyd's podcast. I started doing 3 cc's of Tren. He's like, and then it made me want to get high again. And I'm like,
well, that's not the Tren's fault.
Like, don't blame me for wanting to get high. That's
not Bostin or the Tren's fault either. That's well, but that's because meth brings them up. So for some people, Tren will bring them up too. So they'll associate. Listen, there's an interesting drug. You've heard of it, I'm sure. SR9009.
Ariella got great results on it.
So this is the thing. Has she taken it orally?
But she used the injectable version. I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to say. We need the injectable version. I don't know where to find a good injectable.
I'll give you a source for it.
Oh, because I'm really interested in that drug. That drug is a miracle.
Yeah, dude, the oral does absolutely fucking nothing. I've had females use it. Dude, I'm telling you, I got good results on it, the injectable. And she's even a better subject because she was already on like 1 to 2 IUs of growth a day. And that's all she did was add that in.
You know that stuff can like cure bowel problems, cancer.
She felt good. Felt great on it.
Repairs the heart.
You know what's weird though, dude? It brought her test levels up from 30 to 80, which is not much. It's still low, but it brought her test levels up a little bit.
It's not even supposed to do that. That just means her body was functioning so well. Or no, it can make you more sensitive to other drugs.
Yeah, but she was only on growth, but like 30 to 80 is not a big jump. It's still in female range. It's just high for
Yeah, but it's interesting that it did that. Okay,
it's
that's really good.
It's almost like, it wasn't like off the range. It's just it took her from like the medium to the high range of a natural female. So basically, you know how they say natural athletes are like 1,000.
Yeah.
She was like already at that top of that natural range.
This is really good news for me because I was thinking, should I cook it or should I get some Chinese guy to do it for me?
I could send you a source for you. Yeah.
Okay, that's really helpful. Okay, so a couple other things. I wanted to warn you about something. Cabergoline, I recently discovered, I was doing some research about Parkinson's disease, and I found out that cabergoline causes fibrosis of the cardiac valve. Now, not at low doses, but it's now banned for the treatment of Parkinson's in the US because of this fibrosis, meaning scar tissue builds up around not scar tissue, but like collagen builds up around the cardiac valve. And when this happens, you can't undo it. Now, this is the thing. For prolactin, we use it at much lower doses than they do for Parkinson's. But what the problem with that is that we're taking so many other growth factors in power sports and stuff that this fibrotic stuff could increase. Pramipexole does not have this effect.
Well, see, I always use Prami over Caber anyways because I've gotten better results. And
is it less expensive? Because Caber is crazy.
Way cheap, dude. Pramipexole's way cheap. The only problem is these guys are getting the liquid and they're taking too much. You got to get the pharmaceutical grade Prami tabs so you know exactly. Because, dude, when you're messing with MCGs, which I only take like, it's like 0.125 milligrams, which is 125 MCGs. When you're messing with that, you don't want to take the liquid stuff. You want to make sure you're getting, exactly what you're getting.
I always had a problem with liquid stuff. You can't measure it properly. You're taking
too much. Now with MCGs, like with other stuff, it's not as bad because if you're a little bit over, whatever. But if you're taking something like T3 and you want to be taking 10 MCGs and you're accidentally taking 30, that's an issue.
Yeah.
When we were with 3cc Research, we thankfully had a guy that would actually, he did 2 processes of filtering and he diluted it down. So if you ever get any kind of research chems where you see any kind of crystallization or you see anything floating around, do not use it because one time you'll probably pull out 0 and the next time you could be pulling out the thing. We had a guy that would melt it down and filter it twice when I owned my company. And we made sure and we got blood work done on individuals on like baseline T3 and stuff like that to make sure it wasn't overdosed.
Wait, now that you mentioned that, I was going to ask you, what are you doing with your company right now? Do you have products?
We shut that down years ago.
But you still have the board, the website, the message board? You used to have a message board.
I have a forum, but I mean, I lost my processor for that 2 weeks ago. So I don't know if you know any kind of credit card processors that are good, but if you do, please text them to me.
I do.
Because I need to apply because I've applied to a few. And I got my synthol back and I got my coaching back on a processor, but I need a processor for my forum.
Yeah, I do. My wife knows all these kind of things. I'll ask her.
Yeah, ask her if she knows of any pre-approved credit card online processors for memberships.
Yeah, she was just helping someone out with that actually. Okay, so leaving the drugs aside for a second because I don't want to take.
But I don't sell anything anymore though for that company. Like I don't have any. Like I'm telling you, dude, I don't make shit compared to what I used to.
What
like,
about synthol?
I don't care about money, dude. Like that's one thing I wanted to give product. I wanted to give people products that worked with the peptides and stuff. And people still beg me to this day to come out, but it just was gray area. And a couple people got popped in Florida. And I just told my partner, I said, my name wasn't even on the company because I wanted to be safe about it. I was just the promoter. I was sourcing it. I was the promoter. I knew where it was coming from. But I made sure my name wasn't on the company because I was helping people with protocols and advice. And if you're an owner, you're not allowed to do that. You can get in big trouble. Right. But my partner was a big family man too. He has 3 kids. I said, let's just shut it down. But dude, I was making like $15,000 to $20,000 a month just with that.
Wow.
And I'm talking about profit. I'm not talking about gross.
No, I have a good friend who's he owns the largest one of those gray area things. He shut it down too.
Make a killing, dude.
No, they're making a killing, but he had to shut it down because
I brought Transformix from zero. They were when they brought me on, they were making nothing because nobody knew about them. They were grossing close to 2 million after 2 years before they got popped.
Yeah, that's the numbers I'm looking at too with my friend. But he had to close it, and
they were selling everything. They were selling research chems, peptides. And dude, I have yet to see. I get real in depth with all the busts. Like I'll read all the indictments. I have yet to see a peptide company go down, meaning just peptides. It's the research chems like Cialis, the letrozole, the tamoxifen. Those are the companies, but they're combining the peptides with those sites. And that's what's getting in trouble. I've yet to see just the peptide site go under.
Because those aren't even research chemicals. Like Cialis is a medication.
Drug, dude.
Yeah, prescription, exactly. But actually, on that topic that you just brought up, let's talk about that, which is, look, I've noticed something. I'm not very into bodybuilding. I was mostly into powerlifting. But I noticed something in the time that been involved in the last couple of months. A lot of bodybuilders get arrested and don't go to jail. And I've noticed that I got a sneaking suspicion about somebody I knew that he was an informant. And then I started to hear about other informants, like in your state, there's an informant who has a very large supplement company. And he's not known to be an informant. Most people don't know, but I know somebody who knows him, and I'm pretty sure he's an informant. So what do you think about this fact that when bodybuilders seem to get arrested?
Well, there's a big rumor that I'm an informant, right?
No, I never heard that.
Oh, I posted about it because I think it's a funny thing. They don't even spell my name right. Dude, you know who started the rumor?
Who?
Dante Trudel.
Are you serious?
Swear to God, dude.
Dante Trudel is well, we can go to
He started the rumor, but dude, I'm so honest with that shit. I couldn't even hide it. Like, first of all, I'd rather be put in jail and serve my time than ever rat on anyone.
I know this is,
and I've never even been in trouble with the law. Like, you could search I've never been in trouble with the law for me to even be able to be an informant. The last time I got in trouble and arrested, I was 18. I was caught stealing condoms and lubrication and all. Condoms, lube. I got the most expensive condoms, lube, and all. It was $26 a petty theft, and I had to pay like a big fine. It's the last time I've ever been in trouble with the law is 18. So that's a huge rumor, and I'm like,
how did he spread that? He posted on Instagram.
Like, honestly, I'll be honest with you. You've heard of that Adam McVie guy?
Yeah.
He reposted it or whatever. And like I was saying, like, people that know me, dude, like people that know me personally, like I'd rather serve my time. Like I would never fucking rat on a fucking soul, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of shit pisses me off. Like I don't get mad about anything, but when you make a false rumor about me being like a rat or some shit, I get pissed. But yeah, that was a rumor going around. I was like some stupid informant. Like, you guys are fucking stupid.
No, I have good senses for this, and I don't sense that you would do that. But
I couldn't even hold it in, dude. If I was ratting, I'd be like, I'm a fucking rat.
Yeah, exactly. If you told it, you would just admit it. That's the other thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dante's an enigma. You know, when I was like 2004, I hired one of his sub-trainers. You know how trainers have these fit, like, you know what you're talking about with Blue, how they have these. And I hired one of them in like 2000, like a really long time ago. Because Dog Crap was really famous then. He was, you know, and I did some of their stuff for a little bit. I learned about their program, and I learned about this extreme stretching and this other stuff. And then I forgot about him. And like a year ago or half a year ago, I came across his. Huh? Yeah, I came across his. I came across his page, and I was like, this guy's doing the same stuff he was doing before. This extreme stretching, which we know is not true. I tried this. It does not work. There's no way that works. Dude,
the guy is the biggest phony in the industry. That's why when you did that video with Amin, I loved it, dude. And I was like smiling when I was doing this because nobody has called that guy out. And I actually have called him out on my page. I haven't done like a separate post for him, but I've called him like a fat phony and shit.
Well, look, about that thing, you say fat phony. There's the other thing about Dante. Listen, when all the people who bought his coaching back in 2004, he still didn't show a picture of himself. He would take pictures from the side with his tricep up.
He wears like thermals and like 5XL shirts. He's a fat.
He wears like a jail thermal from LA County Jail with like, and he goes from the side.
And then it cuts off at the forearm, and he thinks he's huge.
And he shows the forearm. He shows the forearm. Like, what are you doing? We know that if you had a good body, you'd show it. You're a bodybuilder.
I shit you not. Before I got my last warning on Instagram, I had a photo of him on his Facebook that he posted. And he made a long post about how good he looks, right, and how big he is. I made a troll post just for him. It was a troll post. I still have it on my phone, and I'm going to release it eventually. But before I release the troll post, I want to look good myself because it looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to post some videos and like get some traction to my name before I start trashing this guy, because it just looks better, you know? It's like if you win a show or you do something, people will be like, you have more, what's the word for it?
Credibility.
You have more credibility.
Yeah.
So I want to build my credibility, and then I'm going to roast the shit out of them. But dude, I'm like, you say you train pros in this, and then you're telling your fans that you look great, but you're actually like near obese. Like, he's delusional.
Yes.
He's delusional.
Dude,
I personally can never hire a trainer that was delusional, right?
See, I wouldn't mind if he was delusional, but a delusional guy would take his shirt off and would go pose and not realize what he looks like. He's not delusional.
You wouldn't hire him, though.
Yeah, you wouldn't hire him, but he's not delusional because he wears the thermal from LA County, and then he goes in.
He looks great, dude. And you already know he has but dude, I wanted to reach out to you because I appreciated you calling him out, because people are scared to call him out, and I got attacked.
I got attacked immediately.
I honestly think Fouad Abiad is a decent guy. I think he's trying his best, and he's doing a lot of promotion now for a supplement company. And you know, I like to think that he's trying to do the right thing with this information he's putting out. I just think he's gotten some bad knowledge from Dante, and I think that was all on Dante's side. I know. What's it called? Fouad Abiad has he has a really short temper and a short fuse. He blew up on a few people I know, and he doesn't like when people like criticize him, which is a bad trait, because in the bodybuilding world you're going to get criticized. But he's worked with Hani Rambod, he's worked with Chad Nichols, he's worked with so many different guys, so he obviously has good knowledge. But he's just regurgitating what Dante was saying about the natty supplements. And dude, I know people personally that have used Dante for those natural supplements combination, and their blood work didn't get fixed at all.
No, honestly, Boston, those were not the right supplements even for hypertension. It's not even there were a couple that were good. There were a couple like, what the hell are you doing? Why are these here?
He makes shit up in his head. What's it called when you're fucked up like that? I forgot what the name is, but he's like a complete like narcissist. Look,
you're totally right about Fouad. You know, I shouldn't have made it about Fouad, because Fouad.
What did you say that he looked like he was gonna die?
Yeah, I thought something's gonna happen. But listen, what I meant to say is that I shouldn't have said that, because
I can tell by his eyeballs that he has insulin resistance.
Well, he does have insulin resistance. You could tell by the look at his body. No, that was Amin about his eyes. I was thinking his waist, because his arms keep getting smaller and his waist keeps getting bigger. But look, the Fouad does seem like you're right. He seems to be a nice guy, and I didn't know his supplement company was opening like a day later. I had no idea. So when
he's a loose cannon, and he gets angry very easily.
Oh, he does. He went on Dave Palumbo and made an episode about me, then deleted it.
But he told Dave. I asked Dave because I wanted to hear his response.
So
Dave said that Fouad contacted him because I was waiting for the video. I'm like, Dave, when is this video?
Yeah.
And Dave was like, Fouad texted me after, and he's like, don't post that. He's like, do not put that up. And like, I'm like, dude, why would you do an hour interview and then be like, Dave, I wasted an hour of your time. Don't post that. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, I wanted to see it.
Like, he's an emotional roller coaster. Like, just like you were talking about how bodybuilders get affected with drugs, like tren. He's one of those guys that just gets probably on shit and he like loses his mind. That's his.
Yeah, but I should have said the information he got was the problem because of Dante the con man. But on the other hand, you know, the only thing I said about him, which I probably shouldn't have said, but it's true, is he said that he got insulin resistance from taking Lantus instead of GH. He was taking Lantus.
Bodybuilders are not that intelligent. They'll take like
it 10 smells things. Strong.
The thing is like they're taking 10 things. How can you be like, it was that drug that caused it? And like,
no.
10 things.
What he said was this: he got sold fake GH, and it was actually Lantus, and he didn't notice, and he took it for 3 months thinking it's GH, but insulin smells strong. I know that. I barely use insulin.
Well, this is the thing. There's two things. Insulin, it doesn't, I mean, you mean insulin smells strong?
Yeah.
Well, pharmaceutical grade insulin like Sizin and Humatrope, they have the same smell. But this is the thing, dude. If you're taking Humatrope, 10 IUs of Humatrope, 2 IUs of growth hormone of Humatrope is 10 IUs. That means, let's say he was taking.
No. I meant the smell of the insulin is strong.
Strong, very strong, yes. But regardless, there is some growth hormone, like pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, like Sizin, Humatrope, Gynetrope, it has the same medical smell. But what I'm saying is, if you pull 10 units of growth hormone, that's 3.3 IUs of growth for like most of these pharmaceutical grade. Dude, you'd only be taking like 10 units of Lantus a day, which is nothing. It wouldn't even touch his. That's the main thing. It wouldn't even touch his insulin levels.
Well, that's that. I didn't want to get into details, but that it's logically not what causes the insulin resistance is the growth hormone, not the insulin. I mean, insulin hyperinsulin.
I'm sorry, nobody's faking growth hormone with fucking Lantus. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was curious as well because Lantus is also expensive. You could do something else, you know. But hyperinsulinemia does technically cause insulin resistance, but you wouldn't get that from using a long-acting one at a lower. Anyway, look, it doesn't matter. The point is, I didn't mean to. I get him upset that much because when I heard he was going on the show, I was like, damn, I really upset. I didn't mean to do that. Like,
well, dude, if you would have picked on 10 bodybuilders, probably 7 of them would have got crazy like he did because they're heated, and then you'd get a rare few that are like me that would probably email you and probably laugh it with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy that like people will bash me and I'll think it's hilarious because, dude, like I'll be honest, like I'm one of the very few that I have like 0 skeletons in my closet. Like I don't have a past. I've never ripped anyone off. I've never scammed anyone. I'm not afraid to tell my whole story. I've told my story about, me and Ariella's infidelity issues. I've talked about how shitty our relationship was. I've talked about everything. I have 0 skeletons in my closet. There's not something on the internet or that I've done in person that I don't want somebody to know about me. So I don't care if people want to talk shit, but these guys are very insecure because that's the main issue.
But on that topic, you recently said that Jerry Ward was spreading information.
We're spreading rumors too.
But that you're dealing?
Yeah, that I was selling fucking steroids. And that's why I was pissed because there was a Twitter account that was fake that I found out later that was selling drugs to people.
Well, maybe that's what he saw.
They were using my name on a Twitter.
Ah.
And a couple people reached out to me. And immediately I reached out to Twitter and I got the account deleted.
So listen to what happened to me. I knew Jerry because, he started.
Jerry Ward is one of the worst in the industry. The guy's delusional. He's horrible, dude.
So let me tell you my experience. So Jerry, he started posting like 2012, like right after you probably or sometime around that.
I met him. I went to dinner with him in 2013.
I met him also at an Arnold once, but I met him I was with the powerlifters and I met him and he was like anyway. He was really interesting in person, by the way. But so the point is, I met him. I thought he was a nice guy, though, and
very nice. Yeah.
And then so I saw recently. I heard that the poor guy, his father, passed from cancer a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And his mother had cancer. So, what I did was I felt bad. So I told Amin to message him on Instagram and give him his warm whatever, give him his not condolences, but like support.
Yeah.
And Amin told me Jerry never responded. So I was like, that's weird. So then, anyway, I went to one of his videos and I saw he was talking about his mother. Now, I study a lot of this biological stuff just for myself. I'm obsessed with it a long time. So I know that when you get chemotherapy, there's a lot of research showing that if you fast while you're doing the chemotherapy, it dramatically increases the effectiveness of the chemotherapy. So I made a post on Jerry's video saying, hey, Jerry, I'm so sorry to hear about what happened to your mother. I just want you to check out Dr. Walter Longo's research on the subject. It may be interesting to you. Next thing I know, no reply. I go from another account. He blocked my comment. I'm blocked from the channel. I'm like, why is this guy doing? What is this? I'm not trying to get views or anything.
Yeah, I did a troll post on him because he was so delusional. And he immediately started texting me, threatening me, saying he's going to show up at my doorstep and beat my ass and he knows where I live. I'm like, Jerry, show up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear to God. I'm like, Jerry, I go, show up, you fucking old fuck. I said, I was like, show up on my doorstep. I'll probably fucking kill you.
I had no idea.
Like Florida laws are no joke. Like,
yeah, you can shoot someone just approaching.
And like, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but like, dude, are you a fucking idiot? Like threatening me to come to my porch and like, I'm like, dude, first of all, I'm not a badass. I'll be honest. I'm not going to tell someone I'm going to beat his ass, but Jerry, come on, dude. Like you're fucking like older. You're like 50 years old. I'm not going to hurt an old guy, dude.
No, but also he's 5'6" and like weighs 150 pounds.
I'm not going to hurt an old guy. You know what I mean? Like I would feel bad.
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting. I never would have expected all this from Jim. He seems like a nice guy on his videos.
Like he's sensitive, man. Like he did something where he's like shredded by the day, and I'm like, Jerry, you're fat. What are you talking about? And that's when he fucking and then, dude, that was my old Instagram account, and it's still on my Facebook. It has like 400 comments on my Facebook because my Facebook's still up, but my old Instagram account, I trolled him. I called him, and I said he had like fat triceps. Dude, he lost his shit, dude.
Man, the thing is,
I don't know how long you've been following me, but you've seen that I've trolled a lot of these guys.
That's what I was about to say. If you did this to me, I wouldn't even be offended because the truth is, you only say honest stuff. It's totally true.
It's all honest. But that's why I get so pissed.
Unless you're delusional, you realize it. You're like, okay, this guy, he got me. He got me.
It's not like I'm making shit up. It's truth. But that's the thing is, a lot of the delusional guys don't feel that way.
Okay, so I think we talked for quite a while for the first one.
So, and then when we post this, if people like it, we'll do another one. This is probably one of my better interviews because we've talked about drugs and we've talked about we've talked about everything.
I have so many other questions I can ask you if we do another one. Yeah. Really, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure the viewers are going to love it. Thank you so much.
I enjoy him because, dude, I'm like I said, I'm not after money. And I'm not after the fame. And in fact, like you made a good point earlier. You said, if you wanted to, you could have brought your channel up to like like a Rich Piana. And the truth is I could have, because even without posting any videos, I had like 85,000 subs, and I didn't even try. I would do one video a couple times a year or something, right? And
literally twice a year. Literally.
And at one point I had to do about 500 emails a day at one point, which is nuts. And now it's not, dude, now it's like I can get all my work done within a couple hours. But I used to get all these emails of people wanting me to do videos and stuff like that. And you're right, I could have blown my name up, but I took a route of, you know what? I'm not going to get consumed in this attention thing like Rich Piana. He started out really good, but at the very end, he just was doing anything he could for attention because he ran out of information. And I said, you know what? I only want to do videos and make points when I feel like I need to say something. But especially, I was like, I want to take the family route, and I do not want to get sucked into this bodybuilding world. So the answer to that is the reason why I didn't do that. And I could have hired, I'm not good with technology, but I could have easily paid someone to do my videos and post them like Rich did and all these other guys. But I picked a life that I knew that I would like better, which is to myself, in my house, with a family, and I'm much happier this way. So that's the reason why I didn't go that route.
Actually, we have a similar, not to add too much, but we have a similar life story, because when I was 21 as well, I was making a lot of money, and I was in finance, and I got out of that world because it wasn't satisfying me. It wasn't giving me what I really wanted, but the thing about Bostin that not many people realize, I don't know, if people have not hired him, they don't realize this. Bostin is very responsive, very responsive. He talks to his clients in ways that I don't think many other coaches do. And so and the other thing is that sometimes I think people probably think, oh, Bostin does all this crazy stuff with drugs. That means he would do that with me. Mm-hmm. No, the thing is, when you're like that, and I know this myself, because I have some clients, mostly I do mental stuff and nutrition and stuff, but I do a little bit like crazy stuff with myself. Like I use rapamycin, which is a crazy drug. I mean, we talk about some other time. I would never recommend that to a client. Yeah. But the people who try these things, they know what works, and then they look back and they say, hey, if you were my son, what would I give you? Or if you were my...
Exactly. Like I know what works, so I do. And I've never had a health scare with a client. I recommend dosages that are good. That's why a lot of these other coaches, they'll see programs from me and they'll be like, this is like a good program. Like they'll expect something crazy. I'm like, no, man. And like you said, man, that's why I don't promote my training, is because back in 2015, I was getting averaging 2 to 3 new clients a day. And I was single at the time, so I could handle it. And I was still responsive every day. But now I like to have a good clientele where, dude, they're it's like a family. I respond to them. I know all my clients by name. I know their whole story. I know everything about their goals. And I don't want to be one of those guys that if somebody checks in and I don't know anything about him and I'm just looking at pictures. You know what I mean? I don't want.
No, he's a real guy. I mean, if I knew someone wanting to get into shape and stuff, I would recommend him to you. I really trust it.
That, man.
All right, Bostin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Have a good night.
All right. So how do I end this? Okay. Good night. Bye-bye.
Are you good?
Yeah.